Welcome back to another edition of the Gary Comer Tribune podcast. I'm here with a panel discussion with Kevin C.A., Michael Somerville, and Malik Ward. Today we're discussing some pressing issues in Chicago, and I'm going to kick it over to Kevin to start things off, where he's going to describe some of the things that he has on his mind.
Thank you, Mr. Bustad. So today, I thought we would talk about a few issues in the city of Chicago, and a few issues that I noticed. Just to name a few, that would be Chicago rappers, the music industry, violence, and like gun violence. So this is a pretty loaded question. So I'll start off with the music in Chicago. I'm not really a big fan of Chicago music a little bit, but I understand why a lot of people like the music. For an outside person, when they hear this type of music, they feel that all they rapping about is violence and killing each other and having all these great things. But even though I don't like it, if you really listen to it, it tells their struggle and the things that they go through in their everyday life. For example, Lil Herb, I think it was called At the Light, when he talk about the things he went through in his childhood and teenage life and growing up, and the things how he learned on the street, he used that in order to survive on the street. So even though like it can come off as negative, it does have some sort of positive message to it.
Yeah, so you think the music, even though it has some negative connotations, especially for people outside the city, from your perspective, one redeeming quality is it's very honest about what is happening in the city of Chicago. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to kick it over to Michael here. Perhaps Michael has a different perspective on the topic of music, what we're discussing now. Michael, take it away.
I have like a similar perspective to Kevin. I don't have nothing different. I agree with him outright because the Chicago music is mostly inspirational. It's mostly telling the truth about what's happening out there today. It may be negative to some people, but some people telling us the truth, what's going on, and what we could possibly think about in our own perspective, what we could do about it. Some people may try to help out and like try and make a change. Some people may not. Who knows? But because of this message, it helps influence the people itself. So I think it's actually a good thing.
Finally, we're going to kick it over to Malik. So he's a first-time panelist on the Gary Comer podcast. So Malik, you've heard what these two gentlemen have to say about the music. Do you have a different perspective on things, or do you are you in line with what Michael and Kevin have had to say?
I have some similar things. I like what Kevin said. Like when Chicago rappers rap, it's all about how they grew up and it's about their struggle most of the part. Like what they seen and been through all their life as they grew up. And me personally, all I listen to is Chicago music, nothing else. So that's how I take it. And just like Kevin said, Lil Herb, whole mixtape, Ballin' Like I'm Kobe, was based on what he went through and what he seen and how he grew up. Like his song 100 Days, 100 Nights, he said how he grew up on the building on Bennett, and he lived with his grandma. He grew up with all his cousins and stuff like that. He used to wake up with nothing to eat, and he used to think he's dreaming, but he's not. It's reality. So, yeah.
What do you have to say to the people that hear the music and blame the musical artists for problems in the city? They say, you wrote this song, you produced this song, and I'm blaming you for some of these problems. What do you say to those people?
I mean, I could say, like, you can't blame them peoples. You can't blame. It's what they grew up, like, it's what they don't come to you about your problems, so why you come to them about their problems? Like, you can't do that. You can't criticize somebody for something that they went through and seen their whole life. Like, it's not their fault.
Yeah, one thing that comes to mind as well is perhaps if you didn't want to listen to it, you just would turn it off and not buy the music.
Right.
But I think Kevin has to add to this as well.
And I also like to add that you really can't blame people who make this type of music and blame it and say they're the reason for violence. I kind of disagree. Well, I disagree with that point because just because someone's saying words or anything like that doesn't mean you have to take it upon yourself to take action upon it, because that was music that was promoting racism and killing of black people. And a lot of, well, it did sometimes with people like actually were influenced by the music and take action, but because you hear something negative that's on the media doesn't mean you shouldn't take a part of it just because you hear it.
For me, I say blame them. Blame them on what? You ain't blaming them by the color of the skin. You blaming them because it has an influence on people, on black people. Mostly, you know it's a message, but it's not even a problem. You just wanted to blame someone just to putting it on someone else for your own for other people's misfortune or something like that. For make it as something negative, and yeah, it's not even a big deal.
Malik, do you want to add to this particular discussion at all, or no? Um, so, yeah, the other thing that the panel wanted to discuss is some violence issues, and that kind of ties into the music. So we're not really sure who's to blame for a lot of this, but I think we've established that we do not think it is the musicians themselves. So who do you think is to blame for a lot of this violence, and how do we? What are some ideas to cut down on it?
Okay, so me personally, I know that Chicago, when Chief Keef first started rapping and he got to talking about rivalry gang member Tuka, and that's how it started. It wasn't that bad, but what made it this bad when Lil Durk he kicked it all off when he said something about rivalry gang member JoJo, who is deceased, and he said, you know, F them and things in that nature. So that's what it took, and JoJo came back with a song saying F Dirt, and he can't wait to catch him. And then JoJo died like a year later, and yeah, he died a year later, and like they tried to blame 300 is Chief Keef and Lil Reese's gang. So they try to blame that because, look, I mean, yeah, JoJo rode over there on normal and saw Reese outside and told Reese he, what he gonna do, and Lil Reese said he was gonna kill him, and then that day later, then Reese, JoJo, like not the day later, but like sometimes later, JoJo got killed, and they try to blame them for it, and that's how it all started. Then JoJo made a song that BDK song, and when JoJo died, everybody started listening to that BDK song, and everybody wanted to be BDK, and you know,
Yeah. So what you're describing to me is that in that story is a lot of it is stemming from the music. So there's people that are talking about this in their music, and like you said, at the end of that, people are listening to that, and it's making them more inspired to do violent acts. So it sounds like maybe some of the blame is on the hands of these musicians. Do you guys agree with that, or is it still not their fault at all, even though they're making these claims in their music that people are learning about and following? I know it's a complicated issue, but Kevin or Michael, have any thoughts on that, about the people that are talking about this and then people falling in line with it?
So to a certain extent, people do actually follow, but still, I don't think just because someone says something, you should be, even if it's negative, you should be influenced by it. And I think another reason why there's so much violence in the community is because of the lack of leaders and parents that's willing to take responsibility for their child actions. Like when you look around the city, there's not really influential leaders that can guide young people to the right paths. Instead, you have a lot of rappers that's promoting a bad message, but at the same time telling their life story, how they grew up. And most of the time, when they tell their life story, it has some negative elements into it.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I was especially with the parts about parents, because some parents they mostly just like give up on their kids and just let them be do make their own path. But you're supposed to like at least try to like lead them to make better decisions and make sure they are on the right path instead of being on the wrong one. They just leave them. They just like mostly give up on them, even though I don't think that's what parents are supposed to do. I mean, you're supposed to have hope and mostly like make sure that they're well, they're protected, they have everything they need, and that they have everything at their disposal. But mostly, even they do make poor decisions, you're still supposed to love them in the end.
I got something to say about what Michael said. I mean, not all parents give up on their kids. I mean, like some just don't listen to their parents. Some is fatherless. You see me? Some even do have fathers in their life, and their fathers do encourage them to do this and do that. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I said so.
Like from experience, I know for a fact that my mama, she tried to keep me and my brothers off the streets all the time, but I ain't gonna say no more.
Yeah. Uh, um, yeah. One thing I'll say too is what I think what we established is you guys keep saying that the musicians of today of the city are always telling the truth, and the truth is ugly and the truth is hard. So they keep rapping about negative things because the truth is negative, and then when young kids listen to that music, they only hear negative things. Would you guys agree with that kind of cycle that's taking place?
Yes, I'll agree with that. Kids, they hear these stories and they look at these rappers as role models, and they hear their background and see how they came up. So they must feel that in order to come up in life, I have to do these certain things that will land me in a lot of trouble. So I agree that sometimes, not all the time, the music does affect certain people, but not all the time.
I mean, for me, I say you can just go by history in a way, because this is in the past, and we just continue to repeat the cycle and over again, because no one's trying to like at least learn from it. No one's trying to make a difference or make a change.
Yeah. So yeah, we're running out of time. But yeah, it was great to have you guys on the panel. I think we discussed a lot of good issues about music and violence and how those two are intertwined in the city. But anyway, it's we're running up against time. It's great to have Kevin on the show. Great to have Michael back on, and it's great to have a first-time guest in Malik Ward. Um, so until next time, this is the Gary Comer Tribune podcast, and be safe out there.
100.
All right, there we go.